So that Xbox podcast was the biggest nothing burger of all time. The internet was going nuts about how Xbox was going full third party and Xbox is dead, and then Xbox just comes out and is like, yeah, 4 of our older games are going to other platforms. And it was just like the most underwhelming news ever after the internet blew everything up for like a whole week. Now, in regards to Xbox going third party, I point you towards this video I made on the subject because I think the console exclusives going away is a good thing, and this video explains my reasoning more elaborately, but that's really not the point of this video. This video isn't about my opinions on the matter. This video, rather, is about the absolute doofuses on both sides of the console war who flipped out about this news and turned February 15th into one of the most dramatic Twitter days ever, despite, again, the actual news being pretty underwhelming, really. On one side of the aisle, you have the PlayStation dudes using this news as evidence that Xbox is dead, while somehow also being upset that they're not getting more Xbox games, which is weird because if you like PlayStation so much, why are you so desperate for Xbox games? And then on the other side of the aisle, you have the Xbox dudes who were using this news as a W because they're not losing all their exclusives, just some of them, but then other Xbox dudes were still mad about losing any exclusives despite them being relatively old. And also, if you think these games are really good, then why don't you want more people to play them? So come along this journey with me, dear viewer, as we kick back with some coffee and some special lettuce and poke fun at people who took Xbox's announcement way too personally. Shall we? We'll start with the classic. Red Dragon tweeted out, "What is possibly going from an Xbox exclusive to PS5? Are you ruling anything out? Phil Spencer, no. Everything's on the table. When Microsoft sees that money printer turning on from PlayStation and Nintendo, what do you think is going to happen, bots?" Wait, so you think that the money fountain is going to be turned on from these games? So you think they're good games? So you you're calling people bots while pretty openly port begging, which I thought was the thing that you guys made fun of Xbox guys for doing. And if you want evidence, here's another Red Dragon tweet where he says, "Amazing how many Xbots are claiming victory on a day when Phil is port begging for Helldivers. Says doesn't help anyone to keep exclusives. Exclusives don't help sales. Xbox will port games to PS5. Will not rule out any game coming to PS5 and considering new Doom and Gears of War, blah, blah, blah." And he concludes it with, "Some things never change, but they gonna learn." So just so we're clear, Phil wanting Helldivers on Xbox, that's port begging. Even though this is the actual quote. Phil Spencer was getting a bunch of shit for apparently port begging for Helldivers 2 when this is all he said. Quote, "I will say when I look at a game like Helldivers 2 and it's a great game, kudos to the team shipping on PC and PlayStation. I'm not exactly sure who it helps in the industry by not being on Xbox." That's it. That's all he said. That's not him port begging. That's just him saying who benefits from this game not being on more platforms. Which, like, yeah, what did you think he thought? It's Phil Spencer. But I love this. Phil wanting Helldivers on Xbox, that's port begging. But you celebrating the potential of Xbox games on PlayStation is what exactly? Like, genuine question. If Phil pointing out exclusivity being lame, if that's port begging, what are you doing right now? Unleashed says, "Today is the day, my friends. Today is the coronation ceremony for PlayStation brand. Funeral for the Xbox brand will be carried out a few hours from now." And then the actual podcast happened, and none of that happened. And then he tweets out, This is how he saved it. Watch this seamless save here. Phil Spencer basically said, "All our games belong to PlayStation and Nintendo. We'll just start with only 4 so as not to give our fan base a heart attack." Good save. Good save. So we went from Xbox is literally going to be dead after this podcast to I'm manifesting them to be dead and I win still. That's wow, that was fun. Aren't you guys having fun with this? Jesus Christ. Tim Dog had a bit of a meltdown yesterday. You guys remember Tim Dog, xCloud Tim Dog? He's popped up on this channel like a million times. He was one of the biggest Xbox shills on all of the internet, and he was pretty close to losing his mind during all the leaks and rumors. You would think that he would be relieved when the podcast reveals it's not actually nearly as bad as some people were saying, but nope, he's still upset. He says, "I see so many excuses and so many what ifs. Good luck if you think this stuff is going away. Just the start. If you okay with that plan, that's good on you. Just can't co-sign." And he followed it up a little later with, "Sorry Xbox fans, can't co-sign. Been down this path many times. Don't say you have been warned." You should have said, it's don't say you haven't been warned. Haven't. Cheerleading is all to yourself and the likes of Brown Jedi lol. If you, I don't know who that is. If you want real opinions like 34 million including Game Pass and Live is not good and alarming, or that Starfield and Indy Jones coming to PS5 after test, might want to unfollow if you can't handle that. This dude was one of the biggest Xbox fanboys alive. And then he hears that some older first-party games are going to other platforms so more people can play them, and Xbox has already gotten all the sales off of them that they were probably going to. You see this as enough to literally denounce the brand as a whole after basically dedicating your entire life to supporting the brand. Oh, wow. Yeah, I gotta tell you, if you think Xbox is somehow not benefiting from this, you're a complete goofball. They're making more money off games that they've already sold on Xbox. Basically, everyone who was going to buy an Xbox for the first-party games, they would have done it by now, and Xbox recognizes that. And even still, a lot of the people who would have bought an Xbox in general would have done it by now. So why wouldn't they put games on the PlayStation where they can double dip on sales? It's the same thing with PlayStation putting games on PC. Why would they not do this? Again, watch this video of mine if you want my more in-depth thoughts on the serious aspects of this, but I just can't believe people are actually getting this upset about Xbox putting games on more platforms. Again, it's like I said earlier in the video, it's Phil Spencer. What did you think he was gonna do? How about another Xbox overreaction? Boss Sean says, today has to be the funniest day in the history of gaming. Ponies are talking to themselves in videos, trying to come up with mental gymnastics routines to help them cope with their embarrassment. Down bad is an understatement. And then a picture of Master Chief over the PlayStation gravestone? What? How did this announcement even kind of hurt PlayStation? This benefits PlayStation because PlayStation is getting more content. It benefits Xbox because they're making more money off of their content. This is literally like a mutually beneficial thing that's happening. And you think Xbox killed PlayStation with this? Put Bill Nye over this fucking screenshot.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck.
Astle says, a lot of noise for a nothing burger. I agree. People forgot that even Sega in the 80s ported some of their exclusives to the rival console like Nintendo. It was solely to make their franchises know to lure new customers for the sequels on Genesis/Mega Drive, which were exclusives. I get the general point of what you're saying, but just random, completely unrelated question. What happened after the Sega Genesis home skillet? You guys know Xbox Curator, the guy who goes by Xbox Curator? He had an interesting arc. The day before the podcast, he tweets out a picture of a sunset with an Xbox logo and says it's almost over. Sad face, he's so sad. Then he follows it up the next day with, damn it, Xbox, you had everything going for you. Everything. Starfield was great. Avowed is gonna be great. You just wasting your entire existence by giving up now. You better not go third party. I'm serious. Gaming is dead without Xbox. This can't be the end, Xbox. You cannot betray your fan base like this. Do not go full third party. You will regret it immediately. You worked so hard to get where you're at, and we were patient with you. Don't make that mean nothing. And then a few hours before the conference, he says, today's gonna be a fucking nightmare. Hashtag Xbox. And then the podcast happens, and this is his takeaway. You ready? After all that meltdown, this is his takeaway from the actual podcast. Ready? Starfield is staying Xbox exclusive. That was the only takeaway you had. That was it. We should study this. I want it studied. I want papers written on it. I want a 5-act graphic novel showing the gigantic, armies of brains inside this man. One last one. Nick Marcel says, reality is gonna set real hard for the few people who thought today was a nothing burger. When you see that PlayStation logo concretized right next to Sea of Thieves, yeah, it'll click for you too. You know, I think it's entirely possible you're taking this too seriously. It wasn't a nothing burger because of the lack of news or the lack of things coming. I guess it was a nothing burger because we were just expecting so much more. It was just such an obvious thing to do. But also, again, I can't help but feel like this is the same kind of port begging that PlayStation dudes accuse Xbox and PC dudes of doing. I really don't know why this is any different. More people are gonna play Sea of Thieves, then God bless them. I've heard Sea of Thieves is really fun. I haven't played it in a long time. Maybe I should try it again, but I'm glad more people get to play more games. Wait a minute, what the fuck? Sorry, I just looked over my computer, and it's the Game Pass app shows the Metascore of games in the homepage, and I just realized that Brotato has a 76 Metascore. Brotato has a 76 critic score. This is why I don't trust anyone. This is why I literally don't trust anybody in my entire existence. That's not true. My wife could tell me it was a 76 Metascore, and I would politely tell her that she's wrong. I don't understand why people are so upset about this. I don't know why people make brands their entire life, their entire identity. These brands will never know you exist. They're just providing a product. And if you're this upset about a product being provided, or I guess in this case a product being provided to people who aren't you, and the money that the company gets from them will benefit the products presented to you, and you're mad about that still somehow, that's weird. If you somehow don't think PlayStation's going to take notes of all the multi-platform success that's been going around the whole industry recently, I think you also need to take a good look in El Moroso. This is the direction the industry is headed. I don't know what to tell you. And that benefits you. That benefits everyone. Because these consoles will not be able to hold software hostage, which means they'll have to improve their services, improve their performance, improve their hardware, improve the experience that they give you on all games in order to be the top dog in the console race, in the hardware race. This is good for everyone. Software should not be the defining factor of whether or not a platform succeeds. Okay. Toodles.